What did your Afghan or Iraqi partner force teach you that your training never did? Afghanistan 2012. I was assigned to train local police on basic patrol tactics. Fresh out of infantry school, thought I knew everything about combat operations. Our interpreter was this guy named Rashid, 40 years old, fought against the Soviets, then the Taliban, now working with Americans. Seen more combat than my entire platoon combined. First patrol, I'm explaining proper spacing between soldiers. Maintain 5 meters between each man. That's basic tactics to minimize casualties from explosives. Rashid translates, but the Afghan officers just smile and nod. Don't change anything. They're bunched up in groups, talking and laughing. I get frustrated. They're not listening. Tell them again about proper spacing. Rashid looks at me with tired eyes. Sergeant, they understand, but they know something you don't. What's that? They know this village. You don't. I didn't get it at first. Spent the next hour trying to enforce American tactics that made perfect sense in training. The Afghans kept ignoring me. Then we turned a corner into the market area. Suddenly the Afghan officers spread out perfectly, stopped talking, weapons ready, changed their entire posture in seconds. Why are they doing that now? I asked Rashid. Because this market has strangers, unknown people, real danger. The area we just walked through, those were their cousins, their uncles, their neighbors. No threat there. It hit me then. I'd been trained to treat every area the same. Maximum security, maximum spacing, maximum readiness, all the time, everywhere. But these guys grew up here. Could read the environment like I read street signs. Knew which houses were safe, which faces were friendly, which silence meant danger. Lieutenant Devin Chambers, our platoon leader, didn't see it that way. Called the Afghan commander unprofessional. Said they needed more discipline. Next patrol, we got hit. Ambush from a compound we'd walked past 20 times. Thought it was secure because it looked quiet. The Afghan officers had been tense passing that compound. I noticed it but didn't understand why. They'd tried to take a different route. Chambers overruled them. 3 of us got wounded in that ambush. Could have been worse. The Afghans returned fire and pulled us out. After that, Chambers started listening. Asked the Afghans questions instead of giving orders. What do you think about this route? Do you know those people? Rashid pulled me aside one day. Your lieutenant is learning. That's good. Pride kills soldiers. I asked him what he meant. Americans think training makes you ready for war. It doesn't. War makes you ready for war. These officers have 20 years of war. You have 20 weeks of training. Who should listen to who? Started paying attention to what the Afghans noticed. How they read body language, recognized vehicles, knew which roads were safe at which times of day. One Afghan sergeant named Habib could tell if an IED had been placed just by watching how local kids played. See? Children stay on that side of street now. Yesterday they played everywhere. Someone told them don't go there. He was right. Found a pressure plate bomb exactly where the kids had been avoiding. Another time Habib stopped our convoy because dogs were barking wrong. That's not normal barking. That's scared barking. Something made them afraid. Taliban spotter in a building ahead. Would have called in our position for an ambush. We detained him because Habib heard dogs barking differently. None of that was in any field manual I'd ever read. Can't train someone to hear the difference between normal barking and scared barking. That comes from living in a place for 40 years. 6 months into deployment, Chambers got promoted. New lieutenant showed up fresh from the States, started the same routine, treating the Afghans like students who needed basic instruction. This time I spoke up. Sir, respectfully, these guys have been fighting longer than we've been alive. Maybe we should learn from them. He didn't like that. Thought I was undermining his authority. Complained to the company commander. Company commander, Captain Sterling Vance, called me in, expected to get chewed out. Instead he said, tell me what you've learned from the Afghans. Spent an hour explaining everything. The environmental reading, the cultural knowledge, the instinct that comes from living in a war zone. Vance listened to everything. Then called in the new lieutenant and made him listen too. This is now standard procedure, Vance said. Afghan partners lead the way. We provide support and heavy weapons. They provide local knowledge and threat assessment. Questions? The lieutenant looked uncomfortable but nodded. That policy saved lives. Our company had the lowest casualty rate in the battalion. Other units started copying our approach. I left Afghanistan with more respect for those Afghan officers than most Americans I'd served with. They'd been fighting their entire adult lives. Still showed up every day knowing they were primary targets. Last month got a message through Rashid. Habib had been killed by a Taliban bomb. Funeral attended by 300 people from his village. Rashid wrote, he died protecting his home. That's what warriors do. Remember what he taught you. I still remember every bit of it. Training taught me how to shoot and move. Habib taught me how to survive.